With Richard Tice spread over the media like a rash over a sailor's bum, and Isabel Oakeshott having almost as many appearances on TV as the BBC ident, isn't it about time that we learnt a little bit more about this insidious couple? Here's another chance to see them in action before we get into the real nitty-gritty. The two of them are interviewing former RMT Assistant Secretary Steve Headley, and they get more than they bargained for.
So, you want an inflation-linked pay increase. What about the productivity improvement as opposed to the old archaic Spanish working practices that exist across a large part of the railways?
What archaic Spanish working practices?
Well, for example, you have to sort of decide voluntary working on Sundays, for example.
So do you not have voluntary working on Sundays?
The property managers in Euston can't do some property management maintenance in St Pancras because it's too far to walk. These are the sort of archaic practices.
They work for different companies.
No, they don't work for different companies. They work for Network Rail.
But they're in different regions.
It's like you. Give me a break. It's 400 yards down the road.
It's like you saying, why don't you go up and do something for ITV upstairs? Because you don't work for them.
So you don't
work for a different region.
So you just want more pay, but with no productivity improvements whatsoever. That's not a realistic world that everybody lives in.
The realistic world is you and your mates, who you actually help, you come on here as repeaters for, have got massive tax breaks. You're offshoring money.
What are you talking about,
You're offshoring money. You're avoiding tax.
Steve, you have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the rich in this country who offshore tax. Are you trying to say that doesn't happen?
Hang on a minute. You were talking about us two. You were talking about us.
I said your mates. I said your mates.
You said you and your mates, and you just accused us.
Sorry, have I rattled your cage?
Yes, you have.
Have you got something offshored as well?
Absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Nothing. Have you not?
Nothing whatsoever. Although, frankly, I'd quite like to have it offshore.
I bet you would.
Yes, I would, because I don't think that my taxes are well used in this country, and I thoroughly object.
Why don't you leave then? Why don't you leave?
I thoroughly
object. Why don't you leave?
Why don't you stop libeling people? Why do you assume I've got mates who run rail train companies? I haven't got any mates.
I didn't say that.
You said my mates in the system who run the railways.
I said your mates who are offshore money.
The reality is you just want more cash.
You've got mates that are offshore money, aren't you?
Nonsense.
What are you talking about?
All you want to do is you want more cash for ever worse services. I think people are happy to pay for proper, decent railways and public services.
Do you understand, right? Do you understand that the money that the government are paying the train operating companies is actually getting paid out to shareholders? Do you understand that's where it's going?
I do.
Of course he does.
Hundreds of millions.
Of course I understand that. And I've said to your colleague, Mick Lynch, right, you've spoken, now let me talk. I've spoken to Mick Lynch and I agreed with you. I agreed with you. You shouldn't be sending money offshore.
The reality is, right, that if that money wasn't paid out to shareholders and it was paid out to the people that actually run the railway...
As long as they run them properly, efficiently, into a timely fashion, like happens in Switzerland.
All right,
if that money was paid to the workers instead of the shareholders, there wouldn't be a problem with it.
But you've got to have modern, contemporary working practices rather than archaic practices like you've got.
Sorry?
Yeah, we work in the private sector.
Yeah, and look, it's working out very well for you, isn't it?
Well, I tell you what, it's not working out very well in the rail service, is it? Where no one's at work.
It is a private sector in the railways. Have you not understood that?
Have you not understood that the state subsidising the railways to £1 billion a month?
And it's all going into most of it's going into the pocket of shareholders.
I want to help you find a solution.
Oh, you seem like it.
I do, but you don't seem to want to talk about productivity, do you? You don't want to talk about some modern day practices that helps the industry. No one else in the UK has guaranteed...
Let me know when I can speak.
Well, I'm just asking you a question.
You have said quite a lot, I would say.
You've made all sorts of
You've asked me on here to explain my position, but you're not giving me the chance.
No, what you've actually done is
Would you like me to speak?
I'm not sure frankly, I'm not sure what's going to come out of your mouth, because
we're in a similar situation. We're in a similar situation, aren't we?
You sat there.
What's going to come out of your mouth? I see that it's up there on the auto cue.
You sat there and you're unfortunately not the auto cue. You sat there and accused me of being an advert for the Hitler Youth. How do you justify that?
Well, because
that is downright offensive.
You're an absolute fascist, right? You're
ridiculous.
You're a fascist.
It's actually quite laughable.
You sit here.
Listen, honestly, this is actually a joke. It is actually a joke. If you think that you're
like Borat and Ali G.
You're an embarrassment for your industry. You're an embarrassment for unions. How can you justify yourself?
It's actually laughable.
It really is laughable.
You come on here and read out an auto cue and get paid thousands of pounds. You're asking me how I justify myself.
I think you've dug your own grave. I think we'll move on. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure
for joining us. I don't think it has it? Thank you.
Click here for Tice is everywhere.